You'll find that Cristina Lizzul does not fit into a box. The music artist sings a mixture of R&B and trap with a pinch of Italian flair. She's setting the trends in music and fashion on an international level. I sat down with Cristina and talked all about her music style, her fashion sense, and being a woman in this industry. Welcome to Keeping It Krischic, the show where we keep up with the chicest in film and fashion. And today, music. I am your host, Kristin Vartan, and joining me today is an incredibly talented singer, director, actress, a triple threat, if you will, Cristina Lizzul. So Cristina recently dropped her single, So Right, so it feels so right to start right there. Sorry, I'm a punter, it's just what I do.
Oh, you're good. I did your research, I see. I wasn't expecting that you knew all of the above. Thank you.
I did, of course. Well, I'm so excited. I just listened to the track and it was so beautiful. So tell me just, where the inspiration came for that song. And
well, it's obviously a very romantic song. It's about like the feeling of somebody feeling so right to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just when something is right. When something is just like, it came from obviously an intimate moment, a personal relationship, and the sound, the whole chill ambiance, just California inspires me a lot.
Definitely. I mean, I've heard a good number of your songs, and there's definitely that kind of thread of very kind of like chill, kind of nostalgic kind of songs.
Yeah.
So where in general do you get your inspiration from?
I mean, it depends on a lot of things. I grew up between Italy, primarily Naples. So my sound, I feel like every time I go back, I get exposed to new sounds, and it's always like, oh, I'm trying to take the R&B route, but now I like this faster paced sound, you know what I mean? So it's constantly changing. But I think the second I moved to LA, I was introduced to this West Coast slow R&B, and it's a sound that I've never heard before in Italy, since it's not really a thing there. Pop and trap and rap now are primarily what's in right now. So I think when I moved to LA and I was introduced to artists like SZA, Janae Aiko, that's when it came to me.
Nice. So you said that you grew up in Naples?
Yeah.
Amazing. So I feel like, I told you earlier, I'm a fellow singer as well, not
you did tell me that.
To the professional level that you are, obviously, but I feel like when you're a singer, you kind of have this kind of legacy story of where you decided you wanted to be a musician. Like it's a childhood thing or some kind of moment in your life where you figure that out. So what was that moment for you? Have you always been a singer since you were a child?
It's interesting because I've had a passion, like deep, fiery passion for art and creativity since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I started creating whether it was singing, writing was the first thing I did. I actually wanted to be a writer initially, and I was writing children's books. And nobody knows this. This is the first time I'm talking about this.
Oh my gosh, an exclusive on Keeping It Krischic.
Keeping It Krischic. But being a writer was the first thing I wanted to do. Then I transitioned to singing, and I was writing songs, and I was like in kindergarten to third grade, where my creativity just went, just flourished. And then I did this live performance, a singing live performance. I sang Christina Aguilera's Beautiful, and I saw the recording of it, and I was like, oh, hell no. Oh, I'm so bad. So I got so discouraged by that video. So I was like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm not really good at all at this. And then I transitioned to acting. So that's when I started working professionally in Italy as an actress. And then I got back into singing when I moved to LA, because I found out about this like gorgeous chill sound that resembled my personality.
Right.
And that's how it happened.
Nice. So I know you went to the Los Angeles Film School, so you did acting there.
No, there I did the film production.
Okay,
because my plan was to move to LA, pursue acting, open my own production company to create my own content. But then the film school had a recording section as well. So I was in a room full of rappers and producers and engineers, so it just organically came to me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So tell me, your aesthetic, not just your sound, is very kind of vintage. You know, I've seen your Instagram photos, you know.
Polaroids.
Our mutual friend Dylan, who came in last week.
Shout out to Dylan.
He's great. He takes a lot of your photos. Very
takes all of my photos.
Retro. He told me you do like actual film photos.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of brought this on? Like, are you an old soul like I am? Like, what is kind of
I'm for sure an old soul, like a super old soul. I don't even know how many years, but I can feel it in my bones. That
Yeah,
I've lived too many lives when I keep doing it wrong. No, I'm kidding. But I definitely feel that I'm an old soul, and I really love the vintage film effect.
Yeah.
I feel like it brings me to, I'm obsessed with like La Belle Époque in France in the 1920s
So
in
beautiful.
Europe. Growing up in Italy, I got a lot of those painting. It resembles the music as well, the sound of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And you say, because you grew up in Naples, like you were probably surrounded by so much art and, you know, culture.
Sure.
So did you ever like go, you know, to museums growing up, or what was kind of the feel of your childhood?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of art, history, great food in Italy, even in the States, but obviously Italy, you know, it's known for the gorgeous museums and the churches.
Yeah.
So I was very blessed in being able to see so much beauty and so much art. And even here in LA, my boyfriend, like our dates we're always going to museums. We're so boring.
So cute. I love it. No, that's like my ideal date. So
Yeah.
clearly I just got to live vicariously through you and your
should
dates.
go. Yeah, exactly. You should come along.
I got to ask, so I had the pleasure of meeting you at the She is the Music panel here at USC just outside the store. And I just, you know, I loved the conversation that they had on stage, because they talked so much about how women are kind of ahead of their time in the music industry, whereas other industries, like women don't have as much of a voice. So what would you say is the position you find yourself like in the music industry? Do you feel like you've had a lot of like inclusivity? What has been your experience?
Well, I feel like my experience has been mostly as an actress. I've literally started making original music 4 years ago.
Wow.
So I'm quite new to the whole game. I just started working with my first label in September. So I'm quite new to the game. So I haven't had any experiences in regards to that. But in acting, for example, I did have a few experiences on sets where I was a teenager and I had to put my foot down. And luckily, I knew that, you know, it was this indie feature that I was working on when I was 19, and there was a situation, and I had gotten the role by myself. So without my parents, without an agent. So there was a situation, and I had to like stand up for myself and be like, this is not right, this is not happening. And then I was called a diva, you know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
I'm not gonna tell you what happened, but I was a diva because I stood up for myself, because I didn't want to do a certain scene that was added last minute in the script that I didn't agree to, you know what I hadn't agreed to.
Wow.
But I think I'm very excited and very inspired, because things are changing, and I'm extremely inspired, especially like for my production company, you know, to create content. I'm so inspired by so many females that have been coming out this past year that have just created and built their empires from all these ashes.
Definitely. I think that, you know, women have risen like phoenixes, you know, with the Me Too movement, the Time's Up movement. There's been so much of a kind of shift in how women are able to have their voices in this industry. So
Absolutely.
It's so great that like you say that and you feel that change. So tell me, you were talking about your production company. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's called Romeo Film Productions.
It's like Romeo and Juliet. Or
Romeo
like,
was my dog's name.
oh my gosh, dog's the best.
Yeah, it's not like a crazy story, but yeah. So we've been producing quite a few things. We produced a short film 2 years ago. Got into the Cannes Short Film Corner.
Amazing.
Yeah. Then we produced a comedic short film called Olivia this year. Got as a finalist into a category at Sundance. So that was very exciting. I was very happy. That was like the biggest achievement we've had with it so far.
Wow, amazing.
And now we're working on a web series. So
cool, awesome. And is that kind of hush-hush right now?
I had this idea like a year and a half ago. So we're just starting to really get to it and write it. And it's going to be a thriller, like a dramatic thriller filmed in Italy and in the States.
So you talked about your film that got into the Sundance category, and I would like to show viewers right now a little snippet. So Stay tuned, we're gonna show that.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm 21 years old, and I'm not your average girl. I'm not ambitious, I don't know what I want out of life, and I don't have a boyfriend because Henry broke up with me exactly 56 hours, 22 minutes, and 7 seconds ago. I'm needy, I'm desperate, and I have a tendency to talk too much.
Tell me more about the character and how you brought her to life.
So what happened was a friend of mine had posted a picture of the bookstore on Instagram, and I was like, what is this place? Going back to what inspires me, colors inspire me a lot.
Right.
Colors, whenever I see a certain color pattern for my music videos, for characters, a production company, like that's how all of my ideas come to life.
Wow.
When I see just something that's visually pleasing and appealing to my eye. But so I saw that picture, and then I got an audition for this showcase, and they wanted 3 comedic characters. So I was doing this monologue when I was a teenager from He's Just Not That Into You. It was a comedic monologue where this character just spoke super fast, talking about all of her ex-boyfriends. So it was just always hilarious to me. So I just incorporated that into the Olivia character. And it's funny because we filmed the whole short film first at the bookstore, and I just had an idea. I hadn't written anything. And then as I was editing it, I was writing the monologue, and I was just improvising it on my phone.
You were improvising?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, that was impressive. 'Cause I was getting like Amy Sherman Palladino, Gilmore Girls, like speed vibes from that, and like that takes some serious like script writing ahead of time. So the fact that you actually like just improv that, like that's so
The
cool.
idea was there, but then as I was editing and I was like, okay, I have another 30 seconds to fill, I was like, what am I gonna say? That's how it came,
So kind of just going back to music, because I know that's like something you're really focusing on. So I feel like so many people, they have like these recording rituals or anything, because I think recording is where the song comes to life, you know,
For sure.
from like the thought to the songwriting to like actually like singing it. So do you have anything ways that you know, prep for the studio, or any rituals in the studio that you do?
I'm very meticulous with my recording. I feel like sometimes my producer and my engineer hate me because I'm like, we're gonna do that again.
Yeah.
No, it has to be perfect to me.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's because I released an EP 2 years ago called Percipients, and now looking back on it, I feel like I had no idea what I was doing. You know what I mean? Since it was my first project, and I'm like, there's so many mistakes, there's so many off-key notes, and I don't re-listen to it now. So I want to create something that I'm going to re-listen to, because that's going to be out forever. You know, art, it's going to be out forever. So I'm very meticulous. I'm a perfectionist, and that's why it takes me so long to release music, and that's why I've been working on this album for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, but it's going to be coming out this year. I'm releasing a single next week.
Oh my gosh, how amazing.
Yeah, my first Italian song, so that's going to be big. Yeah.
So are you like bilingual?
I am, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so exciting. So what is the inspiration behind the music that you are putting out this coming year?
So it's funny because I get inspired by so many. I'm like a little puppy Labrador that gets off the leash and goes like, oh, I want to try this. Like it's just so many things come to me. And then living in 2 radically different countries, you know, there's so much to taste. There's so much to listen to and to learn from.
Right.
So I think my project has mostly an R&B base, but with some elements of jazz, some elements of electronic music, some elements of trap music also. So it's going to be a huge hybrid.
I mean, I think that really helps you stand out too, because you know the music industry is, like so many industries today, is so saturated. Like it's so hard to actually differentiate yourself.
Right.
So how do you kind of push past that, I guess?
It's funny because I had like a meeting with a management, this was a few months ago, and they were like, the thing is, there's so many girls doing this right now, and how are you going to stick out? And I don't necessarily have one specific answer to that question, but going back to the panel that we met at, I spoke to Aluna George, and she's a very risky artist, you know what I mean? She's amazing. I love her music.
She's so good.
And the question to her was, I've been working on this project for about 2 years now, and it's going to be like 14 to 15 tracks, but each track is so different. So do I have to select a certain sound? How do I move in a world that's so, fixated on marketing and audience, which is important, but how do I navigate that when these sounds are all parts of me? You know what I mean? One day I want to be the trap girl, the next day I want to be the sexy jazzy girl. You know what I mean? So how do I navigate that? And she was like, just put out a mixtape. And I was like, well, that solves it. For me, the answer was focus on the art. It's about self-expression, and yes, I'm trying to get somewhere. Yes, I'm trying to make a career of what my passion is. But I guess just be yourself. I know it sounds cliche, but be yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so true. I mean, I'm actually, I'm taking a music industry class, and there is all this talk about marketing, but at the end of the day, like, you have to be authentic to your sound, because I think the legends anyway, they don't sound like everyone else.
Exactly, yeah. And I think going back to like choosing, like a way to stand out. Like for me personally, because I am Italian American and because I grew up in these two completely different cultures, I feel like that diversity has always been a part of me. You know what I mean? So that represents me fully. You know what I mean? The whole jazz, trap, electronic, R&B, the whole craziness, crazy melting pot of sounds.
I love that. So kind of going back to the marketing aspect, I feel like the entertainment industry, and this is just a fact, has just changed because of streaming services.
Right.
So what do you think of that, and how has that like affected like your way of marketing yourself and positioning yourself as an artist?
I mean, I feel like it's an amazing generation for the independent artist, not only musicians, but filmmakers. We have everything we need at our disposal. We have all the technology that we need, the editing software that we need. We have, it's not impossible like it was years back to make it as an independent artist nowadays, because we have all the necessary technology where we have audiences available through social media.
So lastly, I want to know, what would you like to tell other girls that want to get into music? What's some advice that you would give?
I would say, if you really want this as a career, I would say you have to know deep down in your heart that this is what you want to do, and you have to feel like I feel like this is the only thing I know how to do. This is the only thing I can do. I don't really have a choice, because it's really hard. It's really competitive. It's really hard. But I feel like, just follow your passion, and for sure follow your dreams, because we have one life to live, and if you don't do that, what's the point?
That's so true. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and lastly, we want to make sure that we can find you on social media, and if you have any like tours or anything, we'd like to hear about that. So any news on like your website or anything like that?
For sure. Well, I'm releasing my first Italian song next Friday on my birthday. It's called...
amazing. Well, happy early birthday.
Thank you. Did that as a birthday gift to myself. But it's going to be called Resta, which means stay. And you can follow me on Instagram, Cristina Lizzul, Cristina Lizzul. And I just want to point out that I'm sick, so I don't usually sound like this. And my voice is so nasally.
She's so humble, guys.
So don't judge me.
But she's great. She has an awesome album. You got to go check it out. Be prepared for her next album coming out. And the single on Friday for her birthday. We're all going to celebrate together and listen to it. And as usual, you guys can find me, Kristin Vartan, at Keeping It Krischic on Instagram, as well as at my website, Keeping It Krischic, where my episode will be posted. So thank you guys so much, and see you next time.